Good morning. Welcome to the ICT Educator webinar series. I'm Steve Wright, the statewide director of the ICT sector team. We encourage everybody to visit our website where you learn more about our 10 regional directors and our support team, which includes Nicole Sherman, who's the producer for this series. The series is intended as an alternative to expensive conferences to bring you conference quality presentations. You can see every Friday at 10 a.m. or afterwards as you wish. So please register each week in advance. The next slide shows you some of the IT-related webinars we've had recently that are now on our website. Once again, each of these is full video, which is then chapterized, so you can go to the part you want. Full transcript plus the PowerPoint presentations or any other links or materials that was relevant to it. This is a great resource for grants or classroom use or whatever. So coming up in the next 3 weeks, we've got a few more titles. Cybersecurity Dual Enrollment Pathway at Cypress College. We're always looking for ways we can integrate that funnel of students and help keep them on track so they don't, wander. November 8th, the ICT disciplines. Which ICT career is right for you? It's a changing environment, and not everything requires a computer science degree. And November 15th, BIW dual enrollments. Our business information worker is, Microsoft Office, QuickBooks, Salesforce, those kinds of things. We're finding that a lot of that's taught in high school, and by having a good transition to our community colleges, it's a very good tool. So those are coming up. Look forward to those. Today, however, we're going to hear from our friends at CompTIA. Kirk is on the phone, and Stephen Schneider, and I just got to say a thank you to CompTIA, because over the years we've gotten excellent support from Brian Metzel and Alan Rowland, and a lot of the work we've done on the IT technician pathway is a result of some of their input. And being a nonprofit, I've always been impressed by the way they're more than willing to show pathways related to all the different private or other certifications. They really seem to have the focus of the goodwill and what's best for the student. So rather than hear anything more from me, I'd like to turn it over now to Kirk. Are you going to take the screen?
I will. Let me do that, and just let me know that you can see this okay.
I got it. Yeah, looks good.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, thank you so much, Steve. And again, as Steve said, my name is Kirk Smallwood. I also have my colleague, Stephen Schneider, on as well, and Steve will jump in a little bit later to talk about his section, which I'll describe here in just a second. But let me get things moving here. So, actually, let me modify something here. So we're going to talk a little bit about CompTIA, who we are, what we do. State of the IT industry, where we're at right now, and how did we get there. We're going to talk about certifications kind of in general, and then talk about CompTIA's career pathways, as well as our official CompTIA content. That's one of the biggest news items to come out from us in quite a long time. And then the Academy Partner Program, which is the program that I head up in the US, and which is designed to provide a lot of support to what you guys are doing to help in student success. And we'll talk to you about a lot of resources there. But the one resource, as I said earlier before you guys jumped on, that I think might be the very best one that we have, free or otherwise, is the CompTIA Instructor Network. And that's something that Stephen Schneider heads up, and he's going to talk about that a little bit later. And then we'll hopefully have some time for some Q&A. So a little about CompTIA. When people think about CompTIA, a lot of what they think of is certifications, and by design, we're the largest vendor-neutral IT certification body in the world. So a lot of people recognize us more by our certifications, like A+, Network+, Security+, than by our actual name, CompTIA. But we're a not-for-profit association, and we use the certification revenue to power all types of other things that we do as a not-for-profit association. Whether it's things like research that we provide, we have some great research items that we do every year, a state of the IT industry survey, security study, minorities, et cetera, all types of great studies around what's going on now and what we project to happen in the future. We have different communities where our members can serve and provide us feedback on their various sectors of the industry, whether it be advancing women in IT or our security council or what have you, and they're providing specific feedback on what they need help on in their specific sector of the industry. And then we come up with solutions, whether it be some research or education or maybe another certification on what will help them advance in their businesses. And then we have advocacy. We have folks that are based in DC working on Capitol Hill all the time to help advance the needs of the IT industry, whether it be getting more folks into IT jobs or what have you. They are constantly fighting for, whether you know it or not, IT workers and the IT industry. So those are just some of the things that the certification revenue does to help power the IT industry and advance the global IT industry. Currently, where are we at in terms of the state of the IT industry? Well, we are looking at projected sales of 5 trillion by the end of 2019, 5.6 trillion by 2021. We've maintained this projection for several years now. Nothing's happened to deter it. I don't think this would come to anybody's surprise, this type of growth that's going on in the IT industry. It's hard to look at any sector of business and not talk about IT, whether it be cybersecurity or anything else. It's just tremendous opportunity within the industry. Oops, let me see here. There we go. How many open jobs in the IT sector currently? Well, the answer is 820,000. This has been very steady. If anything, it's gone up a little bit. It's been over the last at least couple of years around 800,000, 820,000. So just tremendous number of IT jobs. And the great thing is about IT jobs is it's not just that there are so many of them, but they also pay extremely well as well. Here's just a few samples of some core IT jobs. You can see very good paying jobs. These are of course going to range by where you live, maybe what company that you're working for, et cetera. But by any measurement, these are good paying jobs, especially jumping into something entry level. Very good opening level salaries for someone just getting into the IT industry. And it's not just that there are so many jobs, but as I mentioned before, I love this stat, but non-IT occupations, median salaries are about half that of median salaries of IT occupations. That still kind of surprises me to some extent, but it's the supply demand thing, right? With so many companies demanding qualified IT workers, they're willing to pay quite a bit to get those folks there. And it's something that a lot of people don't realize. People may think like, yeah, well, sure, there's so many IT jobs because they're not paying anything. Well, that's absolutely not the case, and complete opposite of what's actually happening. So really, really strong industry. In terms of the skills gap, we do a lot of research with companies. We work with Burning Glass to do a lot of research as well. And the biggest concern really by employees is the skills gap. And the reason why is you see a lot of things on the right there, why the skills gap negatively impacts their business. There's nothing positive about the skills gap. It's all negative stuff. Their staff is not as productive. There's lower levels of customer service, insufficient cybersecurity, inability to keep up with competition. This is the number one concern of IT employers or anyone employing IT workers. And this is really what drives us in terms of what we do. And we'll talk more about that with certifications. But emerging tech has really been ramping up. So nowadays you hear so much more about AI and VR and AR, machine learning, robotics, big data. All these things are really pushing the envelope when it comes to needing more people that are qualified to do these jobs. You're seeing just tons of growth in terms of like software jobs, cybersecurity jobs, data scientists, CIOs, et cetera. All these jobs are just exploding over the years. And as you can see, we've projected things out to 2026. There's no indication that these are going to slow down anytime soon. So the skills gap that we see, it's probably going to get worse, which is, I guess, an opportunity. It's also unfortunate, but there's just tremendous opportunity to get people into high-paying, high-growth jobs. Another research item that we've done is, and I circled these two because obviously we're going to talk more about certifications. That's probably why we're all here. But in terms of whether it's be small and medium-sized businesses or large enterprise, certifications are very high on the list in terms of what businesses are now looking for. And we'll talk a little more about why that is, but just know that certifications are very high on the list in terms of what businesses are looking for now. It doesn't matter if they're small, medium-sized, or large enterprise. What's behind all this growth in the skills gap? Well, we talked a little about this before. You're seeing just tons of money, billions, in fact, probably close to trillions spent in infrastructure, whether it be smart cities, transportation systems, Internet of Things, big data and analytics, 5G wireless is being built out. good chance the next phone you get is going to be a 5G phone. There's a lot of infrastructure and security that has to be built out with that. And cybersecurity, of course, affects everything. You can't really go a day without seeing some type of a big cybersecurity breach in the news. Shoot, I feel like once a month I probably get a letter from some vendor that I've used that says, "Hey, just FYI, we got breached. You may as well." And then renewable energy, IT is involved in all these different things. So that's this. These are kind of obvious points, but if you look back over the years, there's kind of three key impact points that really got us to where we are today. And I'm going to talk about each of these in a little bit more detail. But first of all, the iPhone created tremendous disruption at the time when it came out. What was that, about 11 or 12 years ago? Certain misnomers about tech careers, and then also coding. While there's tons of jobs there, it's also kind of displaced other tech jobs, unfortunately. So let's jump into that. So first of all, the iPhone created a lot of disruption. So for years and years and years, our focus was on the desktop, and the focus of companies was on the desktop in terms of the programs that they created, the services they provided, et cetera, et cetera. And now all of a sudden you have this device that you can take with you anywhere and can access any photo, document. You can email anyone you want. You can take pictures and do whatever, send those to anyone you want. And all of a sudden now the focus is not on the desktop as much anymore. It's really shifting to these mobile devices. It created a need for the cloud. So now, because you can take this device anywhere you want to be able to access whatever you want. And so you're seeing companies like Dropbox and Box pop up, and Microsoft, OneDrive, and it created a whole nother market here for these cloud services, where before you just stored everything locally. And so this created a whole nother almost market in a way. Coding became cool again because I think it was the year or two after they first announced the iPhone. The next big announcement was the App Store. So all of a sudden coding became cool again. Now you have this whole, again, new market where you're coding for mobile devices. And these apps provide very specific functionality that many times is even greater than what you would find on a desktop program. So it became really cool to create coding. And I'm probably going to screw this up, and I should check this again before I say it, but I thought I read where about a year ago, Apple had already reached something like $1 billion in payments to developers just for their app store. So incredible market. I mean, it came out of nowhere, and now it's $1 billion market. Social media explodes because, again, you've got these phones and tablets you can take everywhere. And what are you doing with them? Well, you're taking pictures. Look where I am. Look what I'm doing. And so now you had companies just explode, like Facebook and Twitter and others, now that social media exploded. So I can promise you this wouldn't have happened. This explosion certainly wouldn't have happened as much as it has if you're simply stuck on a desktop computer. These mobile devices, not just the iPhone, but others, allowed you to really utilize social media to its fullest. And then the second big issue that's caused a lot of skills gap, a lot of people not looking at IT jobs as a career, are some of the misnomers about tech careers. One, there's this thought that you've got to be a STEM genius, especially this really bad misnomer that you've got to be good in math to be in IT, which is completely not true. We have folks in our foundation that have absolutely no mastery of math, just very rudimentary level, just like I do, for example, and they get into IT jobs. We train them in CompTIA Plus and get them certified in 8 weeks, and they're all on their way to an IT job. So, people think, well, I'm not good at math, so I probably shouldn't look at an IT career. And that's sad, because it's not true. They could have a wonderful IT career and not be great at math. Two, there's this thought, well, if I get into IT, I've got to work for a tech company, right? I've got to work for Google or Apple or some company that does just tech. And that's completely untrue, because as we know, tech is everywhere. There's not a single industry or company that doesn't have tech needs. There's one time when somebody said, well, what about farmers? I mean, they're just out there, plowing and, pulling weeds and stuff like that. And I said, absolutely not. That's incorrect, because one of our member companies, in fact, has a farm, and he uses IT to help make him more efficient in his farming. His tractor looks like an F-18 cockpit, and it uses GPS and all types of other technology to know exactly where to, drop feed, where to plow, where not to plow. He could run that thing without even being in it, and he shows other farmers how to use this. So there's not a single industry that doesn't have tech needs. So therefore, you could work in any industry and provide IT services. There's also this thought there's no jobs outside of cities. That's, again, completely untrue. I work out of my home in Fairfax, Virginia. CompTIA's based in Downers Grove, Illinois. Now, I could be anywhere. I could be in, out in the middle of the woods, as long as I had internet access. My, you know, I could be doing my job. When my computer breaks down or something like that, what happens? Well, I call IT and they remotely get into my laptop, and then they figure out what's going on, and they don't have to be here. They can service anyone anywhere. So it doesn't really matter. The IT actually provides the opportunity to work anywhere. And then you have to have a 4-year degree. And this is just completely untrue. Many jobs may think that's what they're looking for, but the truth is they're really not. In fact, we've seen that a lot of times the opposite is true. We see all the time about student debt, folks getting 4-year degrees and then having all this debt and then actually not even finding the job that they were training for. Whereas community colleges like you guys are in an outstanding position to fill these tech jobs, because an associate's degree, along with the right relevant industry and globally recognized certifications, and this could be in any industry, not just IT, but person's job ready at that point. I mean, whether these businesses know it or not, that's really all somebody needs to get going into an IT career and be very successful. Now, eventually, would they need a 4-year degree? Possibly, depending on how far they advance. But it's absolutely not necessary to jump into an IT career with a 4-year degree. And then the other misnomer is that the only jobs in IT are in coding. And this is simply not true. Coding has done a great job at really promoting the idea of coding and that everyone should code. But the problem is it's actually pushed kind of the hardware side, or, infrastructure and cybersecurity, more to extracurricular. Everyone thinks like, oh, IT, that's coding. Well, it's a big part of it, but it's not the only part of it. And because they've done such a good job, and I say they, I mean, I'm just talking about the folks that focus on coding so much, like Girls Who Code and Hour of Code and things like that. They've just done such a great job of getting the word out about coding and, gotten these initiatives going. And so it's created an easy path to STEM. A school will see like, oh, we could do an hour of code, and that checks a box for us in terms of getting folks exposed to IT. Well, it's part of IT. It's not all of IT. And then it has very high profile boosters. You'll see Tim Cook from Apple or Bill Gates, Microsoft, talk about coding and how important it is. And again, that's great. It's kind of pushed other tech jobs to the to the sideline a little bit more. And it's also provided a way out of the diversity challenge. But you'll see here, coding is less than 40% of tech occupations. There are so many other jobs, whether it's network architects or cybersecurity analysts or computer support specialists or database. Coding is only one portion of it. Now, it's probably the biggest chunk of overall IT jobs, but there's many more jobs out there besides just coding. So, that's been, again, kind of a good thing, a bad thing. A lot of awareness for coding, but less awareness for a lot of these other tech jobs. What happened here? Oh, okay. Somehow I had this in twice. So anyway, let's talk about career pathways. So when CompTIA and other globally recognized certs create a certification, the ones that do it the right way really create them with the industry for the industry. And what I mean by that is, before we create a cert, we go out there and we do all types of analysis to see, is there a need for this cert? Is this a job area that is going to be big now and in the future? We don't have, frankly, enough staff to just create any cert we think of. We have to do certs that are going to really correlate to jobs in the industry, again, now and in the future. So first we analyze, is there a need for this job? And what is the job, by the way? What does that job entail? What are the specific things that job, the person in that job should be able to do, the knowledge, skills, and abilities? And so we do that job task analysis. We bring in subject matter experts to help us understand, this is the job. And if we do an exam, if we do a certification exam, these are the types of questions, this is the type of subject matter that should be covered within the exam. So again, and by the way, we have to perform ongoing maintenance. These certs have to be refreshed every 3 years, whether we like it or not, because they're ANSI ISO accredited. And our biggest customer is the Department of Defense overall as an organization. So in order to work with them, we have to be ANSI ISO accredited, and that means refreshing every 3 years. So this is how a cert should be created. This is how we do it. Again, this is how other globally recognized certs, whether it be in our industry or other industries, do it. And that's why certifications are so key, because again, it's kind of a seal of approval from the industry saying, this is what we're looking for. And this is what the certification represents. By the way, just based on our research, we found some interesting tidbits about kind of almost some byproducts of what certified staff, some of the traits that they have. They tend to be better able to understand new technologies. They tend to be more productive. They tend to be more insightful at problem solving. They tend to be better at project management skills and better at communication skills. So all of these things are things we hear from businesses constantly about what they're not seeing in people applying for jobs these days. They're not seeing people that are great at problem solving or management skills or communication skills. The soft skills, frankly, are terrible in a lot of instances. But guess what? People that are certified tend to have more of these traits that they're looking for. So that's a great byproduct. It wasn't something that we even realized initially. And then just based on research with companies that are hiring certified staff, these are things that we found. So really interesting stuff. So CompTIA, we are most well known for our certs that really serve as a foundation. So when you're first getting into an IT career, you really look to our certs first. We really provide that foundational knowledge that you need to be on your way. And then we do have some more advanced certs as well. We have two main pathways, an infrastructure pathway and a cybersecurity pathway. We don't do anything with coding at this point. We've kind of kept our hands off of that. We stick with our sweet spots, which are infrastructure and cybersecurity. And by the way, we're also working on a data analytics pathway that we hope to launch at some point, probably by the end of next year or early 2021. We'll see how that goes. I mean, things can always end up shifting a little bit, but rest assured we are working on that, and we will at some point launch those. So at some point in the near future, you'll see kind of three pathways, but the common thread in all of them will be kind of our core certs, which are IT fundamentals, A+, network plus, and security plus. Those really provide the backbone for any of those pathways, and also the backbone for many other vendor specific certs. In fact, we're lucky in that, you know, we don't view ourselves as competitive to really anybody. In fact, many other vendor specific certification, you know, folks like Cisco or Microsoft, they actually recommend our certs before you get theirs. We've had specific discussions with folks like Amazon Web Services and Microsoft saying, you know what, we're having people having a hard time passing our certs, and we think they do better if they had your certs first. So we're going to create some pathways and really strongly recommend, you know, your certs before ours. And they've had good success with that, because once you know the foundation stuff, then you're going to be able to focus more on the vendor specific stuff. You have that background there. So again, these are the ones that we focus on. Our two newest certs happen to be in the cybersecurity pathway, the Pen Test Plus and CISA Plus. And you'll notice those actually sit on the same level. And that's because they come at cybersecurity on the same level, but from two different angles. So Pen Test is the attack and CISA is the defense. So red team, blue team, attack, defend. You know, if you were a hacker, how would you ethically hack into a system? And you learn that from Pen Test. By the way, CISA Plus, which is Cybersecurity Analyst Plus, the Information Security Analyst, which that certification maps to, is the fastest growing job that the Department of Labor has ever seen. That particular role has exploded, and that's why, of course, we saw the need to introduce those two certs. But that's what we specialize in. And then we were fortunate enough to work with Steve and his crew on the IT technician pathway development for California community colleges. So we were very involved in doing that several years ago. As you see here, depending on each phase we're involved in, whether it be A+ in phase 1, Network Plus and Security Plus in phase 2, and then Linux Plus in phase 3. So we were really thrilled to be able to work with you guys on that. And so we have been involved a lot in what you guys do. Oops, already had that slide. So just FYI, some upcoming certification releases. As I mentioned, we're always having to refresh our certs. Coming up in this quarter, we have our Cloud Essentials certification refresh. In Q2 2020, we'll have our Cybersecurity Analyst. I can't believe it's already been 3 years, but it will have been. So that's coming out. Server Plus also in July. And then Security Plus in Q4 next year. And then, as I said, in late 2020 or early 2021, our data analytics pathway. So really excited about that. Again, you can pretty much look at some new release pretty much every quarter. And I'm sorry about, I know, I think you guys are probably sending in questions. If you don't mind, we'll try to hit all those at the end as much as we can. And I'm happy to talk, offline as well. So the biggest news for us in the last number of years is content. So for years and years, starting with A+, we really only created the certification, and it was left up to other publishing partners to create content that correlated to those certifications, whether it be books, labs, or test prep. And so when a new partner, an academic partner, or otherwise government partner, corporate partner would come to us and say, okay, well, we want to start teaching your certs. What content do you have? And we would need to say, well, as politely as possible, we'd have to say, well, you're gonna kind of have to figure that out by yourself, because we have all these other content partners, and you're gonna need to kind of, try out those and see what you like, and piece that together. And so a couple years ago, we decided, you know what, we really need to have our own content for several reasons. One is to provide a one-stop shop and make it easy for the instructor to go to one place and get everything they need for their classroom. And instructors need to keep things as simple as possible overall. They have a lot on their plate. We realize that. It's very hard for them to go get content from one place and certifications from another and try to piece all that together. So we figured if we could do that ourselves, then at least gives them that option to get everything in one location. And so hence our own official CompTIA content. So again, now we have our own books, e-learning, labs, exam prep to support skills development. So again, I talked about the benefits of this. One is the one-stop shop, of course. The other is that we're going to make positive that our content is strictly aligned to the exam objectives. You never want to hear a case where somebody goes through a class, studies a book, whatever, and then gets to the exam and they're like, whoa, this wasn't on the exam, or this wasn't on the content at all. So we want to make sure it aligns really strictly to exam objectives. It's validated by independent subject matter experts. Also, and this is a really key point. So if you think about it, if you went out and tried to piece together this stuff yourself as an instructor, I get maybe a book from this company, labs from this company, and then a pre-assessment from this other company. They all may be good in a vacuum, but they may not have a consistent approach or terminology across all three of those things. And with us, because it's all coming from the same source, we're going to make sure that we are consistent across the books, labs, and test prep in terms of the terminology and things like that. Also, we're going to be the first to release the content. So in terms of timing, we're going to have the content ready, by and large at the time the exam launches. With some of the other content publishers, it's not going to be ready until somewhat after that. And again, I don't want to say there's not other good content out there. There's very good content out there, and some content has worked very well for instructors to this point. But again, we want to have an alternative to provide what we think is the best out there, and be consistent and have one place to go. And again, some other publishers don't support all of CompTIA certifications. They may support one or two or three. We obviously support all of them, so we have content for everything. Some of the features of the content, we have instructor guide that corresponds with the student guide. So within the student guide, there are specific activities that correspond specifically with the instructor guide. And then we have them in both ebook and print book. If you buy the print book, you get the ebook automatically. It's not the same if you buy the ebook, you don't get the print book automatically, but you could buy the ebook separately if you just want to go that route. But again, if you buy print, you get both of them. And so there's a clear pedagogy linking the objectives to the content. We have a platform called Choice, which provides what we call 2 clicks to the content, so you can access everything right there. To be honest, we are going to be incorporating a brand new platform that provides even more functionality to this content. So I hope this will be launching, I think, early next year, but we are switching platforms. But right now, I think the platform is actually pretty good, but the new one will be even that much better. And then we have labs, 6 months access. They align with all the activities in the book, and they help obviously put theoretical knowledge into practice. The labs are very key, we find, with instructors. In terms of content releases coming up, so the first real big release that we had was the A+ content. And just taking a step back, the way we got into the content business is we acquired the content from 2 of our content partners. And then what we did was over, gosh, at least a year, we held all kinds of focus groups with folks who had been using either or both of those sets of content and said, what do you like about that content? What don't you like about it? What's missing? And so with all that research and focus group effort, then we launched our own content. We call official CompTIA content. The first one that we launched was the A Plus Core 1 and 2 series. And then we also then came out with the Linux Plus in Q2. Q3 was Security Plus and Network Plus. And then Q4, as I mentioned, Cloud Essentials and Pen Test Plus. So for some of our more advanced certs, we have not done that same method yet, where we've taken the best of both worlds and then created our own new content. For some of the ones that are not mentioned here, it's still kind of like basically logical operations content that we now have our name on. But for all of our other, like our best-selling content, our best-selling certifications, we have our own content for that now that we created really from scratch. Maybe the main thing we're here to talk about today is the CompTIA Academy Partner Program. As mentioned, I manage the U.S. academic market. And so we have somewhere around 3,000 or so Academy partners, and those could be secondary or post-secondary schools. And our goal is really to provide as many free resources to help you guys get up to speed for student success. Really the most important factor in all this is the instructor, and getting them up to speed, giving them as many resources and support as we can to help them teach their students and give them the confidence to get certified. And so years ago, we developed the CompTIA Academy Partner Program, and it's free to join. Many of you on this call, I believe, are already partners. You may not even know that you are, or you may not even know what it provides you, but I'm here to talk about some of that now. So this is our Academy team, specifically Brian Metzel in the center there. He manages all the California partners. He's done a lot of great work with you guys over the years. Really proud to have him on the team. Alan Rowland also over the years has done some good work with you guys as well, working on some of those career pathways. But Brian is your man in terms of anything you need with your partnership, and he can help you out answering questions, et cetera. But the partner program, again, is designed to really assist you guys in recruiting students, training students, certifying students, and we provide a lot of different benefits. Perhaps the main one is the discounts on the certification and content. Academic partners get really the largest discount that we offer. Most things range from like 30 to around 50% off generally on a lot of these certifications. We realize the certs aren't cheap, but we try to do the best we can to help you guys out with preferred pricing. So that's probably number one. We also offer a lot of guidance on how to do things like become a Pearson VUE testing center. It's really important, and you probably have one already at your school, I'm guessing, because Pearson does a lot of different certs, not just ours. But it's really important to have a place where students can access a testing center conveniently. If you leave it up to them to go find one, and you don't have one convenient, and they got to drive an hour to go find one, that's really easy for them to say, you know what, I'm just going to put it off. And then the more they put it off, the more they end up not taking the cert. And that is completely not the goal of, I'm sure, your program, or certainly not our goal. We have a huge gap in the train to test ratio in terms of students that train for it and then don't end up taking it. And we want to try to fix that because the cert, again, is what businesses are looking for. Again, you can purchase Academy priced exam vouchers for the students. And then we also have a method where if you don't want to deal with the transaction of buying the certification for the student, or it's a situation where you're recommending that they get the certification but not mandating, we do have a method, which I'll talk about, where the students can actually purchase the vouchers directly. It's called the Academic Marketplace. We also have a means for tracking your test results. And you'd be surprised, there are a lot of schools that may provide a voucher to a student, but then don't really check up on them to see if they passed. Maybe they don't mandate the passing of the voucher to pass the class. But still, if you're interested in tracking your test results, we have a means for doing that. Whereas as long as you have the voucher number and you know who you passed it to, then there's a website you can go into to track this. And this is provide really helpful. Actually, there's a group that I think you guys work with called SynEd. That Scott Young heads up, and he's done a lot of work on finding out test results and doing a lot of data on an IT fundamentals cert program that's been really, really well received. We also have things like instructional resources, like you can access at any time the objectives of the certification exam. You can access things like certification roadmaps. I'll show you an example of one. These are both interactive and printed out. Posters for your classroom. We have a back to school kit that you can opt in on and get posters for your classroom. We do lots of webinars, mainly of which are Stephen Schneider's, which you'll talk about soon. And then access to the IT community through events and conferences. And then also the CompTIA Instructor Network, which Steve's going to talk about. We have some of the new things that we have are a new CompTIA marketplace. We used to have this means of buying certs that was very archaic and actually still exists, called the View Store, where you fill out a PDF and email that in. And now we have a more Amazon-like marketplace, which is if you go to store.comptia.org, you log in with your academic membership, and then you can buy any of our products there, have them shipped to you right away or delivered to you right away via email if it's certification vouchers. It makes it a lot easier for you to purchase that way. And then again, I talked about how students can purchase directly. If for some reason you don't want to deal with the transaction of buying vouchers, or you're not mandating the voucher, but you're recommending that the student get it, kind of on their own, you can direct them to this marketplace. And what it does is there's a validation process through a company called Sheer ID, which actually validates that they are a current student at one of our academic partners. And then they are able to go ahead and purchase at the same discount that you get as a partner. And people really like this because, again, sometimes they feel like the purchasing process is a little bit of a pain, and this makes it really easy to say, hey, go here. And so students seem to like it too. And they can buy any of our stuff on there, content, whatever. Another free resource that we have is this site called cyberseek.org. I highly recommend that you guys take a peek at. Again, it's called cyberseek, SEEK.org. So we got a grant from NICE, the National Initiative of Cyber Education, and also worked with Burning Glass, the folks that do all the jobs data information. And we created this, well, it does other things, but there's this great heat map here showing cybersecurity jobs, the demand and the supply level. And you can do it by state or region. And then you can see as well, you can see different types of certification pathways, different jobs, average pay, especially depending on the area, and the different type of certs that will help get that person qualified. But spoiler alert, it doesn't matter which state you click on, the ratio is very low in terms of qualified workers to cyber jobs. I'm sure this is no surprise, but it just kind of helps to show the opportunity. This is a great resource for instructors, for businesses, especially for students. It gives them an idea of, hey, this is an amazing opportunity, and these are some of the salaries I could expect to achieve if I achieve some of these certifications and go on these different pathways. So really, really good resource. Again, you can use CyberSeek. It really is a good source for anybody. It doesn't matter if you're a counselor, an employer, a student, an instructor, or policymaker. It provides really good information to state your case as to why IT jobs are so important and why they're paying well. And I highly encourage you guys to take a look at that. This is, I was talking to Steve about this earlier. This is our IT certification roadmap, and we actually do have an interactive version of this. If you go to CompTIA.org/shirts roadmap there, that site on the top. But we're the only ones that I know of that have created this, and this shows different pathways to core IT jobs, including our certs, but also other globally and industry recognized certs out there as well. We're not the only certs out there, but we're certainly recognized as one of the most important certs out there. But depending on the pathway that you go, you're going to get a mixture of, vendor neutral certs like ours, but then also vendor specific certs like, Cisco or Microsoft or Oracle or what have you. And this is just a nice thing to show students as far as, what certs they could expect to get along the way. It's not like they have to get all these certs, but there are certainly a lot of choices out there. And again, we try to highlight just the ones that are the most relevant, the most recognized. There's frankly a lot of junk out there in terms of certs that really don't carry any weight, are not going to get you job ready. These are the ones that more often than not are going to get you prepared for the job. So again, you can download this PDF there on the site. And then there's also a great interactive version that, depending on, you can do it like a click down as far as what type of job role you're looking at. And then it will show you the different certs out there. You can click on the certs and get more information there. But people love this poster. This is maybe the most popular handout that we have at events and other places. We also have, in terms of support, we have something called the Training Strategies Group. Again, one of the biggest issues that we have in the industry is the lack of qualified instructors. People just aren't ready, and so we actually acquired a training company that was doing some training for us for our foundation. We were really impressed with their work, and so now, if need be, we can do custom training solutions, either train the trainer or train the student for you. In other words, if all the California community colleges want to get together and do some type of a customized training for all your IT instructors to get certified and ready to teach A+, we could do that. There is a cost to this, but again, it's customized. We could have somebody there in person doing it, or we do have virtual training as well. But the nice thing is they can do things other than just CompTIA training. They can do Microsoft, Cisco, others. They can do some soft skills training, things like that. But again, they can do train the trainer or train the student. So this is a nice resource that we have. But I think, again, I mentioned before, this is a free resource, but the CompTIA Instructor Network might be the best resource that we have. And I wanted to have Steven Schneider here, who heads up the CompTIA Instructor Network, to go ahead and talk about that in more detail. And so in hopes that you can take advantage of this. And Steve, maybe just to make it easier, I'll keep control and you just let me know and I will advance the slide when you're ready, if that works.
No, I appreciate that, Kirk. Thank you very much. And probably some of the others in the group are familiar or same vintage as I am, where you instead of slides, we used to watch film strips and you had that recording that was going on. You heard that beep, which was a signal to change the advance the film strip. So I'll give you that beep and let you know when it's time to advance.
Sounds good.
Hey, thanks everybody. I appreciate your time today. I was really pleased. Kirk asked me to talk to you a little bit about SIN. I love talking about SIN, right? The CompTIA Instructor Network. That is, we are a global band of instructors, so to speak. We started out that way. We've grown into an actual group, a community now. But we started about 3 years ago, and the intent was to get instructors together to be able to collaborate, to share information, and to learn. And that is really what we've developed into. The CompTIA Instructor Network is open to any instructors that are teaching CompTIA certs. And it doesn't matter the skill level or how long you've been an instructor. We've got people coming into us all the time saying, hey, I'm just now getting started into teaching CompTIA certs and I don't even know where to start. So that's where the CompTIA instructor community really comes into play. We have a lot of different elements and resources that we're trying to bring to the table. We started out, we were talking right before we jumped on, we started out as a LinkedIn group. And we had conversations going on LinkedIn. We had resources stored in Box. We were a little bit scattered everywhere. And we've kind of developed, we grew to a certain size, we got buy-in, and we were able to open up and offer our own platform. And Kirk, if you'll go ahead and advance on. So back at the CompTIA Partner Summit back in August, we launched our community platform. And this resides right off of the CompTIA domain. You can check us out at CIN.CompTIA.org, as you saw on the last slide. But in here, we're able to better position conversations. So we have forums based off of certifications, webinars, open forums. We have a job board, which we just opened up a few weeks ago, and we already have a bunch of people posting, hey, I need an A+ instructor. I need a Linux Plus instructor in this particular area. So it's a great way of being able to tap into instructor resources that are available around this planet. It's a great place for instructors to come and post questions. Like I commented within our LinkedIn group, we saw people saying, "Hey, I'm teaching A+ next year. What are you all doing? What resources are out there? What curriculum is out there?" And so from inside here, it's a great place to post questions and get comments back from fellow instructors. We're also trying to build a library of resources. So we have links to our past webinars from in here. We also, if somebody shares a resource throughout one of our webinars, we post that in there as well. So it's a great place to get suggestions for labs or hands-on activities, best practices for content delivery, and exam preparation. Go ahead and let's move forward, Kirk. So one of our biggest things that we offer is the Train the Trainer series. Some of you have probably participated in it, but this started out back when the CISA Plus launched for the very first time. So we had like a grand total of maybe 70 people register for that. And now we have, for our last webinar series that we did, which I believe Linux Plus, we had well over 500 instructors register for that Train the Trainer. So I have a listing on here of all of our past Train the Trainers that we've done. And you can find links to the on-demand versions of these within the community. So you're more than welcome to go in and check it out. One of the things that we do with the Train the Trainers, as if you register for the Train the Trainer and you go through either the live version of it or the on-demand version of it while it's being offered, those folks will be eligible for an exam voucher at the end of the series. So not only are you getting an understanding about the content that's being delivered, but you also have the opportunity to earn the exam voucher so that you can go take the test. We offer the Train the Trainer series as new exams or exams are renewed. So for instance, we just did the Linux Plus, which was a renewed exam. We did that. We are getting ready to launch Cloud Essentials. That exam is being renewed, so we're going to be offering the Train the Trainer on that. So as exams are refreshed and launched again, be expecting a Train the Trainer around it. Now, this is a Train the Trainer, so we're talking a little bit about delivery in the classroom, but we're also just teaching the concepts that are going in it. So if anybody needs to refresh their skills, find out about some of the newer technology that's going on out there, this is a great place to be. We've had people comment in there, hey, I know all this stuff already. I was wanting to know about just the new objectives. We have a different webinar series for that. This is really to get instructor skill sets up to speed. It's really been well received. It's a great place to ask all those idiot questions that anybody may have, and nobody laughs at you for asking them. So it's really turned into a great resource. So again, you can come out to the SIN community and check out any of the on-demand versions from our past series that's out there. And go ahead, Kirk. One of the things that we also do is, in addition to the Train the Trainers, we offer a good collection of other series as well. Our Masterclass series is brand new. We just did one of these this past week, earlier this week, focusing on cybersecurity month. We focused on Security Plus. Where is Security Plus fitting in an industry? How are we prepping our students for the job skills, for the job roles for this? Many of our masterclass series will probably be a little bit more technical in nature, geared towards folks that are teaching that particular certification. And again, you'll be able to find the on-demand link in the community. Our deep dive webinar series, that's where we're focusing in on a particular certification. Unlike the Train the Trainer, this is really honing in on the specific objectives. And for new objectives that are in there, this is offered typically after an exam has launched and people have been into it for about 6 months to a year. We'll offer a deep dive series where we're really honing in on those newer objectives that are in the certification, where it fits in, and how to teach those engagingly with our students. The Pulse is a webinar series that we try to bring in industry experts to talk about what are the current trends, what's going on in what I like to call the real world, or what's going on in industry. As instructors, we're focused on our classes, we're focused on getting our students taught, and it's not always that easy to keep up with industry trends. and what IT pros are actually experiencing in the field. And so this is a way to bring that information and get instructor skills up to speed with what's going on, keep us up to date, which we can take those resources and stories and experiences back to the classroom and share with our students. And then the sneak peek is typically geared as a sneak peek for the next certification that's coming out. So for instance, Kirk mentioned that the CISA Plus exam is going to be renewing in Q1 of next year. We're getting ready to launch or offer a sneak peek later on this quarter. I'm working on identifying an instructor that's going to work with us on this. But we'll go in, we'll talk about what are the changes coming with the CISA Plus exam. That's actually going through a beta exam process right now. And so the instructor that'll be offering that, he'll obviously is teaching CISA right now, and then take the beta exam, review the objectives, talk about what's different. So, they'll come in, they typically say, hey, I'm teaching this. This is my approach to teaching it, but these are some of the changes that I'm seeing, and I'm probably going to be looking at offering or changing my training style, this way a little bit. But it's to give instructors an early look at what the new cert looks like, and helps them prepare for being able to get off the ground running with an idea of how to better approach the certification. Okay, Kirk.
Oh, thank you. Did you want to cover this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So our upcoming events, like I mentioned, we had the master class earlier this week. That link is up there. We've got Train the Trainer, which is going to be running in November for the Cloud Essentials Plus. That certification is launching next month, and we're launching the Train the Trainer to get you up to speed there. We will open up registration for that Train the Trainer next week, actually on Monday. So you'll be able to jump on to the SIN community on the platform and catch the registration link to get on there. Our Train the Trainer series are typically Tuesdays and Thursday evenings from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Central Time. So we're looking at running between November 5th and the 14th on there. And again, these are free. So you'll be able to jump in and check out what the new cert's going to look like and get ready for it. All right, Kirk.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Again, I just think it's an incredible resource, and please take advantage of it. Just a couple of other things before we wrap up. I put a whole bunch of links in here just so you can reference later. I'm not going to go through each one of these, but a lot of the stuff that I mentioned, I just provide some direct links. Some of these are direct links if you are an Academy partner. In other words, if you're not signed up as an Academy partner, you won't be able to access them. But again, it's if you go to Academy, if you go to CompTIA.org/Academy, that's where you can sign up to become a free Academy partner, and then you can start accessing a lot of this stuff. But some of these you don't need to log in to get; they're just there. Here's a second page of some of that stuff. So I'll just you'll be able to reference these things once you get the slide deck. And the last thing is, I just want to leave you with is what are some things that you can do. These are some of my recommendations. Whatever. I assume most of you folks are in IT, but for it, really, I could say this to any teacher that's teaching in any industry, engineering, whatever. Identify whatever the top industry recognized certs are, in terms of the jobs that you're teaching towards. Map your classes. Make sure that you and the students review the exam objectives. If you need some help mapping, and again, we've already done some for California community colleges a while back. If you need some other specific mapping, we might be able to help you out with that. Just depends on how busy our products team is, but they like doing that stuff. If you've got a specific course that you want to see, like, is this really mapping towards the cert, or am I missing something? They can take a look generally and let you know. I don't want to absolutely promise that. Again, they're really busy, but they like doing it, and if they have time, they will do it. I say make certs a mandated part of the outcome, whether it's whether the cert is actually going to count to pass the class, or whether or not. I just think it's a good practice to mandate that they actually take the cert. because it gives them some really good experience. And these certs are the great things about these globally recognized certs is they're like a passport. They're good really anywhere you go in the world, anywhere you go in the U.S. They're recognized for a reason because they're good, not just ours but others as well. So make it a part of the outcome of your class, and talk to them about why certified. Talk to them about why it's so important. Hopefully, some of these items that I share with you today help clarify that and enforce that. But the importance of certification in addition to the associate's degree, because like it or not, it's kind of what the industry is looking for, especially in IT right now. And then get your instructor certified. It's extremely important for your instructor to be certified in the current version of the cert that they are teaching. We try to help you out again with the instructor network, but then also we provide complimentary instructor vouchers for the instructor to get certified. So we don't want that to be a barrier to the instructor getting certified costs. So we can provide complimentary instructor vouchers for you guys. And then again, with any types of learning, the most effective are hands-on, group-based, and project-based. That's why the labs are so key, I think, in terms of the learning situation in the classroom. People just like learning that way, and I'm sure you guys know that already. And then any work-based learning opportunities that you can provide too. I think students get so much out of the actual opportunity to visit a company and see what their workers are doing. It really lights that spark and gets them excited about the potential job. Obviously, apprenticeships or internships, anything that you can help facilitate, that's really important too. And so I'll just leave you with our contact information. Brian Metzel, again, is your man in terms of really anything having to do with the academic partnership. And then put Stephen's information here too, if you have any questions specifically on the CompTIA Instructor Network, and then I'm here as well. But I hope this was somewhat helpful, and I actually need to clean up this deck a little bit, Nicole, before I get you yet another version of this, because I think I've been loopy being sick, and put in some extra slides there that didn't need to. But anyway, happy to, if whatever time we need, I'm happy to answer some more questions if you guys have any.
Yeah, sure. Well, thank you, Kirk. This has just been phenomenal. You and Stephen, both the resources, you've shown it to us. It's just a cafeteria of fantastic resources for us. And I've always been impressed by the way you guys handle yourself in the industry and providing that content now and mapping it to it. It does close a gap that I think was there, even though I think you guys were trying to be arm's length and very fair about keeping them separate. I think it's important that you do what you did, and I certainly applaud you for that. I do have one specific question, and I notice you're providing the Cloud Plus, and recently in the California community college system, we've been pretty much inundated by people, well, particularly AWS Educate, AWS Academy, and we have a lot of people that are trying to jump on cloud as the next bandwagon. And certainly there's a lot of cloud skills requested in job postings. Probably about 50% of the IT job postings that we look to in various databases across the state have some sort of cloud skill listed in there. Mm-hmm. And I know you guys go through a lot of LMI research, labor market information research, when you design your certifications. One of the findings that we've made so far as we're trying to validate the need for one platform versus another is that jobs seem to ask for skills in AWS and Azure and Google. And so a person at a job may actually have to deal with all of those platforms, as well as knowing their Python and their Java and their VMware and everything else.
The vendor specific stuff, and even AWS is recognizing that folks need a little bit more background overall on cloud, because there's more to it than just their products. But I don't know if that's answering your question or not. I feel like I'm rambling, but no, I mean, cloud's huge. I don't know, Stephen, if you want to comment any more. Stephen he kind of transitioned some. He used to have a role on the product team, but any thoughts you have?
No, I would just say I agree with you 100%. And the fact that the certifications, a lot of the CompTIA certifications are building steps into the product specific certifications. So for instance, the Cloud Essentials cert that's launching next month, we're offering to train the trainer on. That's a very lower level cloud cert. This cert is geared more towards those in administrative roles that are going to be making decisions on cloud concepts for an organization. I put it in terms of the Cloud Essentials allows an administrator to be able to talk to the folks in IT who are actually doing the cloud technologies so that they can understand or at least speak the same language and know what's going on. So the Cloud Essentials is a much higher level view of the cloud overall, whereas the actual Cloud Plus, that's a higher level cert that's geared for those that are in the trenches. Again, a high level understanding of networking and the concepts to be able to implement cloud technologies for an organization. And again, that would be a lead in for even higher level certs like the AWS certs that are pretty much product specific.
Well, I think a related question is that, when I look at that little series of certifications you had on one slide leading up to the Cloud Plus, and I'm thinking each one of those, there's a cost for the certification test. There's probably a course or two and prep materials and everything else. By the time a student goes through that series and then perhaps goes after a vendor-specific certification, that's a pretty big investment.
Yes, it is.
And we have a lot of people in the educational system that want to cherry pick, and they want to say, well, just take this one or that one, or we'll just prepare you for this skill. You'll be able to jump into a high paying job. And I'm always wrestling with, how much do I push back against those who would like to try and find a shortcut with it? No, there's just a lot of basic information people need to get in the IT field. Or am I wrong? Is it possible to take a particular certification and jump right into a job that pays good money?
Kirk, you want to take a stab? Or you want me
to? That's certainly possible. Absolutely. Like I mentioned, our foundation, we have this Creating IT Futures Foundation that takes people and gets them trained and certified. These folks have absolutely no IT experience, and they're getting trained and certified in A+. They're put in a 6-month paid apprenticeship, and then 90% of these folks after 2 years are still in IT jobs. And the reason they made this switch in the first place is because they were in some type of a field where it was like food service or construction or maybe the military, and no longer in there, and they need to find something to support their family quickly. And even just an entry-level IT support job can pay really good money, starting out. And then the nice thing about certifications is that you can get that certification, get in the job, get the experience, and then along the way maybe be doing some other certifications on the side that will help you progress in that career. So there are absolutely certs that can get you in the door. We have one of our member companies actually says, we have a video by him saying, if this resume doesn't have A+ on it, we're not even going to look, we're not even going to interview the person. So there are absolutely certifications, and I showed some of the salaries there earlier. Even entry-level stuff can pay really well, especially to what someone may have been used to making. So a lot of people, and there are sometimes, the nice thing is there are sometimes businesses that you're working for that will, go ahead and pay for, the next certification along the line. Like if you're in there as a, help desk technician and they want you to become more adept at, cloud support or whatever it may be, networking engineer, they may pay for your certification because they want to get you up to speed and they want to retain you.
That's a very good point. I'm sorry to rush you because we are running out of time.
No problem. No problem.
One of the things we try to emphasize a lot as a service to our students is employer engagement. Is it possible through you to get in touch with those member companies and try to arrange for student invitations or meetings or interviews or anything like that?
Currently, not that I know of. There are several people that have created platforms out there that have approached us about kind of utilizing and marketing their platforms that do provide that type of engagement. Frankly, it was something that we looked at a while back, and it's very hard to keep up with. But there are some companies out there doing some things like that. In fact, I've got, there's one company, what's the name of them? I can't remember the name of it now. Oh, they're called Courageon, that provides this interaction between students and jobs. So it's not something that we do necessarily, but there are some platforms out there, and we're looking at some of them to partner with. So
yeah, Apprenti and some of the others.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right, I just didn't know because one of the big deals we have is we can train the student, but we like to introduce them to the companies as well, and that's becoming a gap in our service offering, and we'd like to figure out how to close that. To the extent that you have member companies who are expressing a desire and people having these certifications, and we're helping train people to get these certifications. We'd love to close that gap. So if you can think of anything else on that one in the future, we'd love to try to work on that. Anybody else have an outstanding question that they'd just really love to ask? Because this was great. This was packed, action-packed.
Yeah, sorry. Sometimes I worry that we throw a little too much at you, but obviously you can consume this later at your own pace. And again, we're always happy to have separate calls. And Brian's a tremendous resource as well, and so is Steve. So don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Hey, Kirk, there was a question in the group chat about how to access CompTIA official content.
How to access it. So what we can do is we can get you samples. If you want to reach out to Brian Metzel, he can get you samples of the content for you to evaluate. Does that help answer your question?
I think the answer is call Brian.
Yeah, the answer is call Brian. He can get you samples. No problem at all.
And he's not here today, so he can't disagree with that. So
he can't disagree. He will do it, and he'll like it.
He's a great guy. He's been a wonderful resource. And
Brian is the best.
I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up now. I want to thank you both again for an absolutely spectacular presentation. And we will make sure that this, in addition to the 15 people here that will make this viral, we will announce and get more people to view it. It's an incredible resource. And we're very happy to partner with CompTIA in any way we can.
Well, we're thankful for you guys and all the efforts that you do.
All right, good.
And Nicole, again, I'm sorry, I'll get you a cleaned up deck before you send it out to everybody. Sorry.
No problem.
Fix a couple things.
No problem.
But thank you so much for the opportunity, guys.
Usually we post all this material within a week. So those of you who want the materials, they'll be there or perhaps sooner. But we try to give it a week because there's a transcript and all that kind of stuff that has to happen. All right. Well, thank you, everybody. And we'll be back next week with another exciting ICT Educator Series webinar. Have a good week.
All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.